Hi everybody, welcome to my next video. Just for the record, no, I'm not doing another restaurant review. I'm also not doing another movie review, even though I am going to talk about a movie in this video. I'll get to that in a minute and explain it and everything later. But what it is I just have this video is going to be for that Halloween playlist that I started for this year. I know it's actually been a few videos since I've actually shot one of the videos for the Halloween playlist for this year. Guess what? This is one of those videos. I'm working up some other related stuff for that playlist, so I'm not done talking about it yet. Not by a long shot. I got more stuff. I got some books downstairs that I'm going to bring up and, do later. It's just, where it's getting so, late at this point, late at night, I'm just not going to do that now. I'm going to do that later, when I've got, more time. I'll probably do it, if not tomorrow, over the next few weeks and stuff. But anyway, I digress. I know that at least in one other video that I've had on this channel, and I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in that playlist that I shot a few years ago, that's still on this page, I'm not a big fan of Christmas. And it's not because I'm antisocial or I don't like crowds or anything. Granted, I'm not a big fan of crowds. Okay, I'm not going to lie. Tony's the same way. We don't do crowds very well. Okay, it's just, I don't like cold weather. I associate Christmas with cold weather. I don't like the snow. I don't like having to, deal with, that. I just hate cold weather in general. But it's the whole gift-giving part. Halloween, and this is one thing that I like about Halloween, is like I can get together with my family and be outside at the same time and it be, decent weather. And it's not like freeze your ass off frigid kind of thing, if you know what I mean. Excuse my French. As far as and the other beef that I have with Christmas is the whole gift-giving business. I'm not a big fan of gift-giving. I would be thrilled to death if, people that get me gifts would agree not to with me, just because, not because I'm being like a Scrooge or anything. It's not that, okay? Just for the record, it is not that, okay? It's not that I'm being a Scrooge or a Grinch or whatever. It's more like, I just would prefer, if, for example, instead of getting me a gift, just say, you make a donation to a charitable institution, like the Lottie Moon Christmas Fund at a local church or something, or I know my parents' church does this every year, and I think this is neat, even though it's kind of a waste of money at the same time. What they do is that you can get a poinsettia, buy a poinsettia from them, and they'll actually have it out on their Christmas, in the church during Christmas, and it'll be either in memory or in honor of somebody. If you did that and gave that to my parents after Christmas, that'd be, have it in honor of me or something, I wouldn't be offended. Really. I'm not kidding. That sounds bizarre, but, really, that's a donation to a church, in my opinion. Or, as another example, if there's multiple sclerosis, probably mispronouncing it, MS. If there's an MS charity around here, I'm not sure off the top of my head. Not that I have MS myself, but I know somebody who's near and dear to my heart that's got it, and I think that young lady is a wonderful lady, and I wish they could find a cure for it. Or Michael J. Fox. If you, do something like that, that's fine. I wouldn't have a problem with that. It's just, I don't like shopping. I'm going to be the first woman that ever admits that I'm not big on shopping. It's I shop like a man. If you know me well enough, you know this is the truth. I go to a store, go in there, get what I want. Sometimes I get extra, that's human nature. But, I go in there, get what I want, get out. I mean, it drives my mom crazy. I'm serious. Like, my mom and I will go to the store, clothes store, like Dillard's, and, like, if I told her, like, all I really want is, you know, some more pants or something, or a nice dress up outfit, you know, that's exactly what I'll go in there and get. I mean, like, I might get, like, 2 outfits and be done. And Mom wants to lollygag around inside the store and graze and shop. I'm like, really? You know, it's like, I came in here, I got what I wanted, now I'm done. And I want to leave. You know, Mom's like, well, what about this? Mom, I want to go home. Really? That's the part that I hate about Christmas. Nothing against my mom, mind you. But, I mean, just as an example. You know, I just go in, get what I want, and get out. You know, the only time, like, I'll ever take a while in a store, and this is just how I am, it's just because I'm very particular about my feet. I will actually spend time trying to find a pair of comfortable shoes. You know, I mean, you take good care, like Gary Sinise says in Forrest Gump, and that's not the movie I was going to talk about. I'm talking about something else that's Halloween related. As Gary Sinise says in Forrest Gump, take care of your feet while you're here. This is when they're in Vietnam and everything. But yeah, seriously, take good care of your feet. You'll be fine. But that's how I feel about Christmas. It's just, you know, I'm not a big shopper and I hate it. I mean, this year, you know, I've told Tony I have every intention of doing some online shopping. Just because my employer has, and I can say this, and it's not revealing work secrets, has an employee webpage for shopping. And you get discounts, which is awesome. You know. And I'm planning on this year, if we can work it out, to where everything, you know, we can, you know, we have the time to sit down together at the library or something to do it, you know, we're going to do that. But, you know, I'm not a big fan of going in the store and shopping. But anyway, enough about Christmas. I'm shooting this video about Halloween. That's the difference between Christmas and Halloween, for example. You know, like Christmas, like I just said, you know, I don't like doing the shopping. I mean, it's like get in and get out. I would prefer, if I could, all the time, do online shopping. Seriously. I mean, I know, and before I go on and talk further about Halloween, there's one person that I've already got their present lined up online that, you know, I'm going to go through, check it again to make sure that, yeah, that's what I'm going to get that person. I won't say who and I won't say what, just because it'll ruin it. You know, once I order it, that's what that person's getting for Christmas. But anyway, as far as Halloween goes, one part that I like about Halloween, and you'll occasionally see this at Christmas too, is like people get dressed up for both. And when I say dressed up, I mean costume dress up. It's more expected at Halloween to see people get dressed up and what have you. Of course, I want to talk about another movie here, and this other movie is not what I'm going to talk about here in this video, but I really like the 1993 movie Hocus Pocus. Granted, I am not a big fan of Sarah Jessica Parker, even though she's from Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm sorry, I am not a big fan of her. The two people that are in that movie with her that I do like are the two women that play her sisters, Kathy Najimy and Bette Midler. I absolutely think Bette Midler is the bomb. I mean, she should get more credit than what she gets. I mean, I mentioned that in Beaches. I mean, she is just incredible. And in that movie, not in Beaches, in Hocus Pocus, I really love that outfit she had on, because that's purple and green. That happens to be my two of my favorite colors, and it looks really good together. It looks really good on her, especially because of her red hair. And I think, well, they made her up to look ugly in Hocus Pocus, but if you see Bette Midler in, like, well, not Beaches necessarily. She looks okay in Beaches, but if you see her in like First Wives Club or like, oh god, Stepford Wives, she looks really good in those two movies. I mean, even in Stepford Wives in particular, granted there's like a part where she looks all like grunge and stuff, but you know, even as grunge she looks decent, you know. But when they make her up to, you know, be the Stepford wife, I nearly fell out of my chair. I was like, oh my god. You know, so I recommend you watch all those Bette Midler movies. And I hope if she ever makes another movie that she actually wins an Oscar for it. You know, so kudos to you, Bette, if you watch this. But anyway, back to Halloween. You know, I mean, not that I myself am a Wiccan. I'm not, just for the record. Halloween, and you know, I'll go into more about, you know, like the Wiccan form of Halloween and everything in another video. But you know, in Halloween, you know, like associations and everything, you know, and this is what I'm going to talk about in this video, is Dracula. You know, for my movie reviewer page, and this is the movie that I was talking about, and like I said, this is the movie I'm going to talk about here. One of the videos I shot earlier tonight was a movie review of the Blood of Dracula movie. It was made in the 1950s. I'm going to include that video in with after this one of that movie review, so you can hear what my opinion was of the movie. It was, you know, made in the 1950s, like I said, and it's done in black and white. You know, just as an example, you know, talks about Dracula. Another Dracula movie, of course, is all the Dracula movies, like the Bela Lugosi version in the 1930s that I know, which I will also include if I can find that video for my movie reviewer list or videos page. I'll include that video in with this playlist too, so you can see what I said about that one. There's also, you know, the Claude Rains version of Phantom of the Opera. There's also the Freddy Krueger version of Phantom of the Opera. Phantom of the Opera is another one of those old horror flicks. The Claude Rains version of Phantom and the Lon Chaney version of Dracula, and like the Wolfman and the original Wolfman, the Mummy, the original Mummy movies, the old black and white ones, and like the Swamp Thing and the Sea Monster, all of those old like 1930 and 1940 monster movies that Universal Studios made way back in the day. Those are actually called the Universal Classic Monster Movies. Those are, for example, the classic monster movies. Like, if you watch the Tim Burton, Johnny Depp version of Ed Wood, Martin Landau's character, he actually plays Bela Lugosi in the movie. You know, and this is actually based on loosely on true life events of Ed Wood Jr., who's like the worst movie maker that ever lived. There's a line that Martin Landau says in that movie, and he says, you know, if you want to make out with a girl, take her to, you know, see Dracula, meaning his movie. You know, because it's like blood and guts and everything. You know, that's what Halloween's about, is, you know, for some people, you know, is going to like haunted houses or watching scary movies and trying to see who can scare each other the worst, or telling scary stories and things like that. Yeah. And like Alvin Schwartz said in one of his Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark books, you know, people ever since the dawn of time have told each other scary stories to, you know, try to scare each other, you know, and help cope with, you know, things that they're afraid of. Well, you know, I can tell you, now we're going to talk about Dracula in this video. Dracula the book was actually written by a stage manager named Abraham Stoker or Bram Stoker. He based the book Dracula on Vlad Tepes. Dracula, I'm probably mispronouncing. Tepes is his first name. Tepes Dracula. Dracula means son of Dracul, or the dragon. He was a Vlad Tepes Dracula was a Transylvanian prince from like the Middle Ages or something in that neighborhood. Time-wise, most people call Vlad Dracula Vlad Tepes. Some people call him Vlad the Impaler. Well, you know, and they call him that for a darn good reason. If you've watched the Keanu Reeves, Winona Ryder, Anthony Hopkins version of Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, Anthony Hopkins' character, Abraham Van Helsing, actually opens up a book and it shows what he did, what the relief looks like. What happened is Vlad Tepes would impale people on a long pike, and then, you know, it was, you know, way big around, and it'd be like, from what I remember, because I actually watched this on the History Channel, so I can kind of talk about this. It would be like 20 or 30 feet long from end to end, you know, and that counts the sharp end, just for the record. You know, he'd impale people, stick them on, you know, stick the pike in the ground. People would just slowly go down the pike, and it would, you know, screw up their internal organs, and they'd bleed to death. Well, you know, and sometimes he would like chop them up and, you know, whatever, and he'd be sitting there eating his lunch, and, you know, people would be, you know, out in the yard dying and stuff. And then he would actually, Vlad Tepes would actually put these people out in the woods just, you know, to make, and like that one lady says in the Addams Family Values, make an example out of them. These were people that were everything from POWs, prisoners of war, to common criminals that stole from the community. I mean, that's what he'd do. You know, just to kind of give people the hint. The hint to let, you know, to either A, behave themselves and not commit crimes, or B, you know, try to not get into war with him. He had Vlad Tepes, when he was a kid, his dad and his older brother were murdered in front of him, and by the Turks and the local noblemen. Well, his dad sent Vlad Dracula, who was his dad, sent Tepes off to be with the Turks. Well, Vlad Tepes, you know, was a pretty smart cookie, even as a kid. He learned all his sadistic stuff from the Turks. The Turkish ruler, I forget his name, when he saw the impaled people on the pikes, he said basically, let's turn around and go back and let this dude alone. You know, we don't need to be messing with this guy if he does that to his enemies or his criminals, you know. And they left him alone. I mean, it was just, you know, from what I understand, it was pretty gruesome stuff. You know, and the whole impalement thing, you know, did to an extent work wonders, you know, with Dracula's local enemies and his people, because some of them were like, I don't think so. You know, I mean, it did. You know, well, some of them anyway. I mean, not all of them. I've actually seen, like, where they were talking about, like, his castle. And I thought, I actually learned a lot from this History Channel show about Dracula. What it is Dracula had this one castle, this old castle rebuilt, and he took some of his local enemies, and when he was having this castle rebuilt, he made these people, as punishment, rebuild that castle, and then, if I'm remembering right, he killed them and had them buried in the walls or buried underneath it or something. Well, at the end of his life, there was a rebellion against Dracula, and he just kind of snuck out in the middle of the night and just skipped town and left his one wife there. And, you know, people just had enough of his malarkey, you know, to put it polite. They had enough of him and his stuff, and, you know, they rose up against him, and, you know, he actually had turned into a chicken shit, excuse my language. He escaped in the middle of the night, left his one wife behind, and just kind of snuck out of town. Nobody knows for sure where or when he died, but everybody does know for sure that the wife that got left, rather than be put in a harem and captured and put in a harem, she committed suicide in the castle walls. You know, rather than be humiliated like that. Well, anyway, he's like one of the more famous, he's like, well, actually, he's one of the more famous, but he is, you know, he is, you know, one of the more famous, like the most, or one of the most famous vampires ever written about. There's other famous vampires, you know, if you want to call them that, in history, but I'm not going to talk about them here yet, because, you know, I want to make sure I get the details about them right first before I talk to you about them. But anyway, I am going to pause here for the evening, and I'm going to work up some other Halloween videos for you and everything. So, you know, thank you for bearing with me. I know this one was kind of long, and, you know, yeah, Richard, I know you're big on it not going long, but I just had a lot to say. Well, thank you guys for watching, and keep an eye out for new Halloween videos for that playlist, alright? Bye.